Hello everyone, this is Seth the Programmer bringing you a new debatable topic. That topic today will be 5 ways that Super Buu, or that Buuhan, could have defeated Vegito. Now, by defeated Vegito, I do mean, of course, either absorb him or kill him, as should be pretty obvious. I've never seen anybody actually do a video like this before on him or even relative to such, and I thought it'd be pretty interesting. I'm a bit sick today, so I can't be as pronounced or as loud today. Other than that, I hope you enjoy the video. Now, the first one should have been the most obvious to Super Buu, especially somebody that has absorbed characters that have met Goku, and even Piccolo, who used to be a rival of Goku, and has seen him fight numerous times, including fight Frieza, who almost killed him by drowning him to death. Super Buu's first objective, if he wanted to simply defeat Vegito, should have been to destroy Earth. Now, there was 2 instances where I think he actually tried this. There was one where he goes out of his way and he gets enraged and he actually attempts to destroy the entire universe. And when he tries to destroy the entire universe, that would, of course, obviously be destroying the planet. But I think that's more like him having a hissy fit and not really a coordinated plan. In fact, when Super Buu is fighting Vegito in general, it seems like he's very belligerent and he's not actually thinking at all. As with a lot of Dragon Ball villains, when they meet someone that is stronger than them, all of a sudden their, quick wits and super, smart attitude all of a sudden becomes, like feral almost. Like with Super Perfect Cell or Perfect Cell. Perfect Cell was like really smart. He was like a really smart character. Even in his imperfect forms, he's like a genius. But then the second he gets outmatched, he just goes like full retard and just like forgets everything he ever knew about fighting. And Buuhan is no different, especially Buuhan. He has all the reason in the world to be an idiot, especially when he's mad, because he was never really smart to begin with. But Buuhan, instead of trying to destroy Earth, he just tries to destroy the entire universe. Now, the way he could have defeated Vegito is, instead of leaving his little head tentacle, like how he tried to absorb Vegito, is that Vegito cut off his head tentacle and just like threw it on the ground or something. I don't really remember what happened with the head tentacle, but basically he split a tentacle off of himself and hit it somewhere to try to absorb Vegito. Now, what he could have done with this is actually turn that tentacle into a clone of himself. As we know, Buuhan can clone himself almost infinitely, and he could make a clone of himself with the tentacle, and with that, he could have used that clone to actually detonate Earth, and by detonating Earth, he could have actually killed Vegito. Now, that is only 1 out of 5 ways he could have done it, but it's honestly the most simple, and of course, with plot, that would never happen, but that is one way he could have defeated Vegito. Now, this one here is not like as surefire as the destroying the planet one. I think the destroying the planet one is honestly the, sure best way to defeat Vegito. Majin Buu in general can actually clone himself as much as he wants, because Buu is literally existing even when he's like dust. He's like particles of dust in the air, and he can clone himself as much as he wants, and all his clones are equal in strength. Like, no matter how many times he clones himself, they will all be as strong as the original, because Buu can exist infinitely within himself. It's kind of weird. I don't know if Buu has a limit to his regeneration. It seems like you can tire him out by beating him up, but as it suggests, it seems like only a Buu can defeat a Buu unless you just obliterate him. But other than that, there's obviously the strategy where he could clone himself a shit ton, right? Now, if Super Buu Gohan absorbed cloned himself like thousands of times, Vegito would eventually get tired. And that's the best way to do it, is that Super Buu has more stamina than Vegito does, and his techniques are a lot more versatile. So if Buuhan actually cloned himself thousands upon thousands of times and just kept coming at Vegito, maybe if he even hid his main body away and just kept shitting out clones at Vegito, Vegito would eventually get tired. And I think a good example of, a fighter getting tired, even if they're fighting like fodder in comparison, is if you look at, Revival of Frieza, when the Z fighters are fighting fodder. Even Piccolo, someone that should be like stronger than the original Super Saiyans, is getting tired just from fighting Frieza fodder, yet he is clearly way stronger than all of the Frieza fodder there. In fact, even the humans should be thousands of times stronger than Frieza fodder. Even when they originally arrived on Namek, Krillin can destroy Frieza fodder, and now he's many times stronger than that, especially after he trained for the android's assault. He should at least be Ginyu Force level, so he's obviously way stronger than that. So it goes to show even people that are way weaker than you, if they're in enough abundance, can tire you out, and if they just keep coming and coming, you're gonna lose no matter what. And so if Buuhan had cloned himself thousands of times, Vegito would obviously eventually get tired and Buuhan could win. Although I don't think Vegito would let it get to that point. I think eventually Vegito would just be like, fuck it, and just kill him and then wish for Gohan and then back. But it is another way that Buuhan could have won. Now this next one is even more controversial than the last one. This last one is use the Kaioken technique. Now, a lot of people are saying, Buuhan doesn't know the Kaioken, and that's very true. Although it is possible he can know the Kaioken, it's also possible for him to obtain the Kaioken technique. Now, what I'm talking about is that Super Buu has Piccolo and Gohan both within himself. Piccolo himself has trained with King Kai and has witnessed the Kaioken on numerous occasions, and even characters like Tien Shinhan knew a shit ton about the Kaioken. Tien Shinhan himself was like, with Goku's training, you should be able to use a Kaioken times 10, showing that Tien was very knowledgeable about the Kaioken technique. So even Piccolo should be at that level logically, especially with Piccolo's advanced hearing. He should be able to overhear all of King Kai's training that he gave to the humans, even if he didn't participate in such training. Even if Piccolo doesn't necessarily know the training in general, he knows a lot about it, and even Gohan himself has been a witness to the Kaioken technique numerous times. And if we know anything about Majin Buu, is that Majin Buu is very desperate, and when you're very desperate, you are looking for everything in the book to defeat your opponent. You're like a cornered animal. You're gonna do everything you can to win. Remember, like, tried turning him into candy, tried absorbing him, tried using all of Gotenks' technique, even tried using some Piccolo techniques, tried even destroying the damn universe to defeat him. Now, if he looked even harder, and if the plot demanded it, like if Akira Toriyama had to write, okay, I need to make Super Buu win, he could have definitely done this. He could have said, well, there is a technique of something about Goku. Goku used this technique called the Kaioken technique, and he could recollect on Piccolo's memories or even Piccolo's knowledge of the Kaioken. Maybe Piccolo even knows it, we don't know. But even if he doesn't know it, he could still recollect on what he knows about it, and he himself could very well use the Kaioken technique. Now, I know what you're going to say, just because he can see it in his memories or he can recollect on it doesn't mean he can use it. But the thing about Super Buu is that he only needs to feel a technique to know how to use it. See, with Kid Buu, the way he learned the instant transmission is that Goku used instant transmission behind a death ball. So Kid Buu didn't even physically see him use it. Just the mere presence of the technique gave Kid Buu the knowledge he needed to learn the instant transmission. So if Piccolo knew how to use it, has seen it used, and has felt it used, then Super Buu, Gohan absorbed, most definitely could as well. Now, if I was writing the story, that would be all the reasons I would need to let Super Buu use the Kaioken. Now, the thing with Super Buu is that Super Buu and base Vegito are actually rivals in power. I don't know if you knew that or not, but Super Buu is actually confident that base Vegito was his inferior, and Vegito actually does go Super Saiyan, showing that he can't dominate him in his base form. So even if Vegito is stronger than Super Buu Gohan in his base form, he still needed to go Super Saiyan to basically toy with him and dominate him, if that makes sense. So basically, Super Buu and base Vegito aren't really too far off. And as we know, Super Saiyan is a 50 times multiplier. So Super Vegito is like anywhere between like 50 to, less than 1,000 times. He's not even 1,000 times stronger than him, right? But the thing is that if Buu knew the Kaioken with his infinite physical stamina, he could push Kaioken as far as he wants. So he could use Kaioken times 100. No problem. Kaioken times 100 is probably all he needs to deal with Vegito. So he could use Kaioken times 100 with no physical effects. He could even blast out Kaioken 1000. That's right, Kaioken times 1000. And it wouldn't even hurt him. And even if Kaioken backfired and Super Buu just exploded, Super Buu would just regenerate like nothing happened. He'd be like, oh, well, test failed. There goes that. So, yes, he could very well with the Kaioken also defeat Vegito. Now, the problem with it is that he would need to find a way to learn the Kaioken, but other than that, if he did learn the Kaioken, he could very well defeat Vegito. Now, this one is probably my favorite, and I actually seen another YouTuber do this by the name of Vegito1089. You've probably seen him before, but he has done a video like this. But basically, Buuhan could have defeated Vegito if he absorbed Tien Shinhan. Now, he clearly did not think anything of Tien Shinhan. He thought Tien Shinhan was just a fly. You know, he's like, he's just a human, just ignore him. But the interesting thing is that Tien is actually one of the more potent characters in terms of raising his power level to compete with people stronger than himself. The thing with Tien is that he knows the Neo Tri-Beam, and the thing with the Neo Tri-Beam is that he could go from just human levels, weaker than Super Saiyan. There's no way he's stronger than a Super Saiyan. But basically, he can go from weak human levels to being able to blast Semi-Perfect Cell, who's over 3 times stronger than Super Saiyan Vegeta in the Android Saga. Not after the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, of course, but pre-Hyperbolic Time Chamber Vegeta. He's about 2 times to 3 times stronger because 1, he was already stronger than Vegeta before he absorbed the android, and 2, the android was already stronger than him in general when he absorbed it, so he's at least over 2 times stronger than Super Vegeta, well, Super Saiyan Vegeta. And Tien was able to basically push this guy back into his hole, right? Keep him at bay. Now, Tien is like, at best, right? I'm being generous. I'm not saying he's this strong, but at best, he's like, Frieza Saga Goku level, right? Whether that be like Kaioken-ish level or whatever, it's up to you, but he's probably not stronger than Frieza. But he's able to amplify his energy so much that he's able to push back someone that's twice as strong as a Super Saiyan after 3 years of training, to top that off. Now, if Buu knew this technique, he can amplify his energy possibly by hundreds of thousands of times, and honestly, do a lot of damage to Vegito. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that even if this attack isn't initially stronger than Vegito, and if Vegito just comes out of the Neo Tri-Beam with a few scratches, the thing with Super Buu is that he could spam it, because the Neo Tri-Beam, it uses your life force to actually power yourself up and damage somebody. But if he were to use the Neo Tri-Beam himself, being Majin Buu, then he could not use any of his life force because his life force is infinite because he's an immortal being. So he could actually spam the Neo Tri-Beam infinitely. And I thought another thing to top this off that'd be interesting is that Tien Shinhan also knows the Kaioken technique, possibly. It's very likely that he does know it, and then along with the Kaioken and the Neo Tri-Beam, since he has like that infinite life force, he could use both of them, and you'd have like a Kaioken Neo Tri-Beam. So imagine a Kaioken times 100 Neo Tri-Beam. Super Buu would probably kill Super Vegito, more than likely. So that is the 4th way that he could defeat Vegito. Now this is the 5th way, and this is probably the least likely way to defeat Vegito, but it is another possibility, and that is catching Vegito off guard. Now, the weakness of Goku, Vegito, one of Vegito's fusion counterparts, is whenever he thinks he's defeated an opponent, he lowers his guard, he lowers his energy, he thinks the fight is over, he doesn't think about raising his energy onto that person's level, he suppresses himself, or whatever. And that's how he lost to Sorbet's laser in Fukatsu no F. But basically, Vegito, if he thought he defeated Super Buu, and Super Buu's like, I give up, I'm sorry. And Vegito's like, haha, finally, right? I beat your ass. And Super Buu's like, fine, I'll give you your friends back. Then what if a clone of Super Buu came up behind Vegito and bam, shot a laser through Vegito, just like Sorbet did against Goku? Now, this is not as likely or as easy to do against Goku as is Vegito, because 1, Vegito is smarter than Goku, and 2, Vegito actually is Vegeta being more ruthless and not letting his guard down. But I do believe it would be easier to apply Goku's weakness to Vegito than it is Vegeta, because Vegito is obviously more like Goku than he is like purely Vegeta. And we also see scenes of Vegito dropping his guard against Buu numerous times. There's one instance, okay, so basically Super Buu gets enraged and screams at the universe in an attempt to destroy everything, and then basically he calms down, and then after Vegito's like, okay, he's calmed down, his energy's gone down, Vegito then lowers his own energy to suppress himself even more. And what happens after this is that Buuhan actually catches Vegito off guard, and Vegito actually has to protect himself. So what this shows me is that Vegito still actually does have Goku's famous weakness of lowering his guard, and after lowering his guard, it is possible to kill him. So if Buuhan were to, like, play dead, or, fake mercy, or plead for mercy and act like he was giving up, and Vegito accepted that mercy, then of course Majin Buu could catch him off guard like Sorbet did Goku. Now, it's obviously not going to be as easy, but it is a possibility of how he could defeat Vegito. Anyways, guys, that is 5 ways that Majin Buu could have defeated Vegito, the Potara fusion of Son Goku and Vegeta in the Buu Saga, obviously. And yeah, that's it. So I think all of them are pretty viable. Of course, mainly just the blowing up the Earth one. That's the only one that I think would 100% work. The Kaioken one, the Neo Tri-Beam, all of those are like variables. The clone himself almost infinitely, that's also, you know, variable. We don't really know 100%. But destroying Earth is definitely a way he could have done it. The other 4 are just other ways, you know, to expand your information. Like those, yes, there are more than one way he could have done it. And if the author really wanted him to, those are ways the author could have just said, let it kill off Vegito, you know, intensify the plot or something. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any other debatable topics that you want me to do, please fill me in, because I actually love doing these. These are really fun to do, and they're not too hard to do. I can just, you know, record myself, throw some pictures, and there you go. So tell me what you guys want to hear, what you want to see, what you guys want to learn, and I will consider it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and until next time.